I hope I am audible and visible to all of you. I just check once and let you know if I am audible and visible. Yes. Hello, all of you. Hi, Kalpana. What happened, Kalai? You're not to be seen these days. Hi, Dipanshu. Hi, Sandeep. Now, let me introduce myself before I begin with the class. My name is Deepika Reddy. I have been teaching students preparing for civil services for 11 years now. I handle polity. I did not take the class yesterday, ma. Yesterday I took, I think. Yeah. Yesterday I took. Good afternoon, Prakash. Hi, Abhishek. Okay, polity governance. I teach society. Ethics, integrity, and aptitude. Okay, these are the areas that I deal with. Now, let's begin with today's session. But before that, yesterday, 11th of Hi Aditi, not to be seen these days. Where are you? No sound, no hearing from you. Yesterday, we Unacademy Plus has started three new batches. Hi Priyanka. One is an exclusive Hindi and English, a Hinglish batch, as we call a bilingual batch. This is an exclusive Hindi batch, and this is an exclusive English batch. These are the three batch courses that have started yesterday, the 11th of May. Now, these three courses are year-long courses focusing on 2020 batch. Is that you, Amit? Okay. Now, the benefit of joining classes, you'll have more than 30 plus hours of live class every day. You'll have separate batches, English, Hindi, and English also. And then we start new batches every month. If you want to get the subscription, you can get 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. You can get any of this. The amount to be paid has been considerably, discounted. And if you use my code DeepamYT, you will get another 10% discount on this. So this is about the subscription. What happened to you, Aditi? I thought so, devil. Now, Rakesh Verma sir, Amrinal Patel, and Atish Mathur have actually curated, presided, supervised these mock tests. It's an Academy UPSC Championship is an all India free mock test. 29th, 12th, 26th, 10th is over. 24th is left out. I request you all to enroll for these tests because they're very, very important. They'll help you understand your national level ranking. Now let's begin. What happened to you, Aditi? These are the current affairs sessions I've been holding. I know there have been some misses in between. I did not take a few classes, but the timing has been shifted to 1 to 2 as of now. Okay, and these are the YouTube sessions. We are there at Right to Information Act today. Tomorrow, SCST atrocities, UT's right to education, important concepts in judiciary, motions in parliament, money bill and Lokpal and Lokayukta is pending. Now, please remember, mugging will not help Aditi. Mugging is the worst thing to do. Never mug. You're not even there in the current affairs session, so I was wondering what is wrong with you. Okay, now motions in Parliament, Manipal, Lokpal. This is what I'm going to take. This is all from prelims perspective. Let me begin with today's class. I'll tell you the relevance of this act first with respect to your syllabus. This act is very, very important for your paper 2. Okay, it comes under governance. Whenever we talk about good governance is not possible without Right to Information Act. And you have paper 4. It comes under paper 4. That it comes under the topic corruption. Okay, and almost every alternative year you have a case study related to Right to Information. So Right to Information Act is extremely important for two papers, paper 2 as well as paper 4. Now what should you know about it? I'll just give you an overview of detailed picture from the prelims and mains perspective. See, first you have to know about the constitutional basis for this act. Do you have any constitutional basis for this act? The answer is yes. Okay, once you understand the constitutional basis, the second thing that you have to know is the purpose of the law. Okay, the third that you have to know is the significance of the law. And the fourth that you have to know is the provisions, the working of the act. The working of the act is important. For example, how do you get information in how many days, who is the concerned person to give information and so on. That is the working of the act. The working of the act is important for your cases, case studies in ethics. It is also important to understand, comment on the analyze the effectiveness of the law. How effective is RTI Act of RTI? Okay, in terms of good governance. And here you can suggest changes to increase its efficiency. And the fifth is you have to know about two important bodies called CIC and SIC. These two are statutory bodies established under the law. These are the things that you have to know. If you ask me, in ethics, I take about 3 to 4 hours of Right to Information Act because from my perspective, it is a very important legislation for both paper 2 as well as paper 4. But since we have a limit on time, I'm giving you an overview and I'll give you a brief picture as to how you have to go through. And there are certain sections in the law that you have to remember, like 2A, 2I, 2H. Okay, section 2 of the Act is very, very important. You have to remember what is given under section 2F, 2H, 2N. Okay, these sections are more important. Now let's start with the constitutional basis. The constitutional basis of this law is, I don't know how many of you are aware, according to Supreme Court and A.K. Poolwal versus Union of India. Supreme Court very clearly said that right to know or right to information is basis for right to freedom of speech and expression. It is the basis for right to freedom of speech and expression. Only when you have right to information, right to know, right to information, you can utilize freedom of speech and expression. कॉमन सेंस की बात है, अगर मुझे इस चीज़ के बारे में नहीं पता, इफ आई एम नॉट अवेयर ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर इश्यू, Will I be in a position to comment about it? I can't comment. For example, you ask me anything about polity, 99% I'll answer it. But you ask me anything about science and technology, rocket science, or economy, I'll not be able to answer it. Why? Because that's not my area. I am not aware of it. So Supreme Court says without right to information, what right to freedom of speech and expression? There is no meaning in right to freedom of speech and expression without a right to information. So the constitutional basis for right to information will be 19(1)(a). In fact, Supreme Court construes the right to information to be a part of freedom of speech and expression. This is the first thing that you have to know. Now, what is the purpose of right to freedom of speech and expression? The purpose of this law is given under its preamble. The way we have a preamble to the Constitution, every statute has a preamble. And this preamble was asked before 2012, it was asked for a 5 marks question in your main. So, preamble of a law is very, very important. Now, what does right to information preamble say? It basically says an act to give access to information. Okay, you are saying an act to give access to information. Now, my question is information about whom? To him. Whom? Okay, it says give access to information to citizens. Okay, now the next question is about what? About the functioning of public authorities. Very good. You're saying about the functioning of public authorities. Now the question is, how are you going to give the information? How? By establishing Central Information Commission and State Information Commission. The next question is, why this information? Why? To increase transparency and accountability in functioning of public authorities. This is what the act says. So, I have made this question. An act to give access to information to whom? To citizens. About whom? About the functioning of public authorities. How are you going to give the access? By establishing an office of Central Information Commission and State Information Commission. Why? To increase transparency and accountability in functioning of public authorities. This is the purpose of preamble as given in its this is the purpose of the act as given in its preamble. Now the next question is, okay, we said that this is the reason why we want to give information. Now the next question is, why? Why should information be given? Meaning, what is the significance of the act? The significance of the act is stated in the objective of the act. There will be a brief explanation given in every law where they explain why this particular act has been introduced. According to the objectives of the act, the reason why it is introduced is, see, India talks about being democracy. In a democracy, see, democracy is not just voting the government. Democracy begins with choosing government. Okay, and the test of democracy, the success of democracy depends on accountability of government. This is the test of democracy. How successful your democracy is, you can determine by accountability of government. Now, in order to make the government accountable, you need to question the government. Okay, to question the government, you need information. You need information about everything that the government does. Unless I know what the government is doing, how will I question the government? I need to know information. So, the information is the tool that allows me to question the government. Okay, so in a democracy, democracy cannot succeed without right to information, right to freedom of speech and expression. However, again, there is a problem. We have certain information, we call it as sensitive information. This sensitive information can't be made public, but at the same time you need to know about the purpose, the working of the government to make it accountable. Here in public interest, access to info should be given to be given. Now, don't you think there is a conflict? One side you're saying public interest, the other side you're saying sensitive information. So, in order to resolve the conflict, to ensure that public interest for the success of democracy does not interrupt with sensitive information, you have to set out a regime. You have to lay down the procedure of giving information. You have to tell how you can collect information, where you can collect information, what information can be collected, what information cannot be collected. All this has to be practically written somewhere, and that is right to information. To put it simple, for the success of democracy, right to information is important. At the same time, right to information is important to ensure that that data, which is sensitive, which can harm the unity of the country, the security of the state, is protected. So you have to balance the success of democracy, the prerequisite of information success of democracy, along with the sensitive information. So to balance this, you need to make a law. That is the Right to Information Act. Hi, Burhan. Are you clear, all of you? Is everybody following? Okay, so basically, from this piece of information, we have to understand that RTI Act basically tells us. I'm telling you in simple terms, guys, because after this, if you read the law, you will be able to understand the provisions of the law quite easily. That is the reason I'm trying to put it in as simple format as possible. 1 minute. 1 minute. So now the RTI Act simply tells us what information can you gather, can be accessed. Okay, can be accessed from whom. Okay, then it also tells us what information can't be accessed. Very clearly says that you cannot access information related to the discussions in cabinet. You cannot access information under RAW, under IB and so on. Then it also tells us how to access information. Okay, then it will tell us how to access info. Then it will tell us this is the procedure. Okay, it will tell us what form of access. Meaning, does access means only that you can read the information? Can you copy the information? Can you take the information and all that? So all this is given under RTI Act. Now let me tell you. The first thing that you have to know is what information. Now please remember, when I say information, it is any info as available. This is very, very important. For example, X student wants to know how many marks he got in UPSC mains. I did not get my information, or I want to access this, or he or somebody got, why got in UPSC mains. This can be accessed, okay? But why did he get that marks? For example, out of 250 has been given 150. You can't go and ask UPSC why you gave the marks, because this information is not readily available with UPSC. But UPSC can give you why. No, no, Ashutosh, it does not. UPSC can give you why. Why we can give you the marks of why. It cannot tell you why he got that marks. Okay, so information as available. Okay, this information could also include work in progress. You can actually visit and see the work being done under RTI. The Act allows you to go, for example, the government is constructing a tunnel. I want to know how much of construction is over. I will have the permission under RTI Act. I can actually go and physically see the work. That is the information. The next is about whom. About, we said public functionaries. So I need to know who is a public functionary. The Act specifies who is a public functionary. According to the Act, the public functionaries are all constitutional bodies. Okay, bodies aided, funded, administered, controlled. Administered is controlled. Performing functions of government. Aided, funded, administered by the government. Okay, I want to know whether a particular body comes under public functionary or not. What should I do? I want to know whether BJP political party comes under public functionary or not. Okay, is a public functionary or not? Whom should I ask? I will go and ask Central Information Commission, because it is a national party. If I have to find out about TRS, then I'll go to State Information Commission, because it is a state party. Then CIC and SIC will decide and tell me whether it comes under public functionary or not. Once CIC and SIC declare it comes under public considered to be. It is not formally registered, Ayushi, but considered to be a public functionary, considered to, it has all the requisites, all the requirements to be an organization, but it is not formally recognized as an organization, then we call it deemed organization. A deemed university is also the same. It has all those attributes that are required to be a university, but it is yet to be formally recognized. Then we call it as a deemed university. Okay, it comes under public functionary. Then they have to give information. They have no choice. They have to give information. So this is how SIC and CIC facilitate information. Now, how to access information? Every public functionary will have a public information officer. We call him as PIO, Public Info Officer. This Public Information Officer will send information. Public Information Officer will take RTI application submitted to PIO. Okay, PIO should give information in 30 days, should decide either give info or reject info, but give reasons for rejection and details as to where to apply for info. Okay, where to appeal. I think that I can get the information, but the PIO is not given. Then the PIO will tell where do I go and appeal. The PIO has 30 days. Within 30 days, he is supposed to give information. He has to give information, and if the information is related to right to life or liberty, info should be given in 48 hours. Okay, must give the information in 48 hours. Nominal fee charged. Okay, nominal fee charged but waived off for BPL families. Okay, now what info can't be accessed? This is very clearly given under section 8, if I'm not wrong, of the law. Very clearly, you cannot access any information that threatens the security of the state. Okay, any info that is related to trade secrets, info related to cabinet discussions, okay, information related to information under the security agencies, all this information cannot be accessed. It is very clearly given under 8. Okay, so this is about the Right to Information Act. I just gave an overview as to how it works. This is a lengthy topic, cannot be covered in half an hour, but just an idea as to how you have to cover. Now, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to explain about the SC/ST Atrocities Act, the key provisions of SC/ST Atrocities Act, the recent judgment, and the amendment made to the law. Thank you for joining